This is the Jerry Doyle Show.
Ron Paul 2012 National Campaign Chair Jesse Benton put this statement out concerning the CBS National Journal Republican debate. Ron Paul consistently polls among the top three in the key early voting states of Iowa and New Hampshire. He's polling in double digits in most respected polls. Congressman Paul is ranked among the top three in fundraising results. Congressman Paul serves on the House Foreign Relations Committee. Congressman Paul is a veteran, and Congressman Paul has contrasting views on foreign policy that many Americans find worthy of inquiry and discussion. CBS's treatment of Congressman Paul is disgraceful, especially given that tonight's debate centered on foreign policy and national security. Congressman Paul was only allocated 90 seconds of speaking in one televised hour. If we are to have an authentic national conversation on issues such as security and defense, we can and must do better to ensure that all voices are heard. CBS News, in their arrogance, may think they can choose the next president. Fortunately, the people of Iowa, New Hampshire, and across America get to vote, and not the media elites. Now, I keep hearing Fox News and Rush and Hannity and all these guys talking about the mainstream media, the alphabet networks, how they have a stranglehold on the media. It's almost as if they're playing that David and Goliath nonsense. You know, it's like we're long past the point of saying that communist China is a developing nation. I think we're long past the point of saying, oh, look, the hopeless little GOP is powerless to the mainstream media. Our voice is being squashed by CBS and ABC and NBC. We can't seem to get our message out there. Well, CBS is no different than Fox. And in fact, CBS did what CNBC did, which is what O'Reilly did on his radio special, what is what Fox News did to Ron Paul way back when. And it's interesting that it took the liberal, lamestream media to point out the hypocrisy of Fox News, while today people on Fox and GOPers are accusing CBS of bias towards a Republican.
So now with Pawlenty dropping out, Rick Perry dropping in, and Michelle Bachmann and Ron Paul dominating the Ames straw poll, we got ourselves a race.
We have a top tier. It is Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Michelle Bachmann.
We have a new top tier, and it's Perry, Mitt Romney, and Bachmann.
There's now a top tier in this race, at least for now, of Romney, Perry, and Bachmann.
I mean, I think that's fair to say. Really fair to say? You're not forgetting, I don't know, anyone, say an ideologically consistent 12-term congressman who came within less than 200 votes of winning the straw poll? Isn't anyone going to give that gentleman a little love?
There's a top tier now of Bachmann and Perry and Romney, and, you know, we haven't mentioned, and we should.
Thank you.
We haven't mentioned, and we should, Rick Santorum, who did really surprisingly well for the amount of money and resources he had.
Rick Santorum? He didn't get half of what Ron Paul got. He lost to the guy who lost so bad he dropped out of the race. Santorum?
And now Fox, can you believe what the media does to Republicans? Can you believe the way they just make it something other than what it is? Yeah, like poll results, Fox, like poll results, O'Reilly, like poll results, CNBC, like poll results, CBS. Ron Paul, 27,278. Next closest, Rick Perry, 18,977. John Huntsman came in third with 13,164. Now the GOP has three reasons to get rid of the poll results. It can't be Paul, it can't be Perry, it can't be Huntsman. When is Huntsman going to take over on Jeopardy for Alex Trebek? Newt Gingrich? Now, if we get rid of the top three, which would be about 60% of the votes, then we'd have it closer to what we like. Gingrich, Kaine, then Romney, then Bachmann, then the social issues suck up Rick Santorum. So let's invalidate the top three, go with the bottom four, and then we'll say Newt Gingrich won, Herman Cain followed by Romney. If you use the margin of error, we do some statistical sampling, we can get it the way we want it. Mitt Romney won, Newt Gingrich came in second, Herman Cain only came in third because he's being vilified by the mainstream media with baseless accusations. Which is it? Which way do you guys want it? How are you going to play this one? The only guy who's been consistent has been Ron Paul. Damn it, he keeps coming back. He keeps raising money. What else can we do to diminish this guy? Can you imagine if they just didn't diss Ron Paul, but just actually recognized he's there? How well he'd be doing in the polls? Because look how well the doofus from Texas, Rick Perry, was doing. He was a darling right out of the box. Why? Because I guess he looked presidential. I guess he kind of sounded presidential. And what did they give him a pass on? They gave him a pass on in-state tuition for illegals, the DREAM Act, amnesty, gay marriage in New York that he switched to later that it wasn't a good idea, executive orders to give kids injections, Gardasil, executive order, which is what they accuse Obama of being all about, running roughshod over the Constitution and bypassing Congress. He doesn't. He goes, whoops, shouldn't have done that. This is a guy who was a campaign co-chair for Al Gore in 1988, but they loved him because the elements within the party loved him, and the power makers, the kingmakers, decided that, well, if it's not Romney, then it's going to be Perry, and if it's not Perry, well, maybe Bachmann. No, what about Kaine? Here a GOP, there a GOP, everywhere a GOP, except the guy who's been consistent, Ron Paul. Now, the thing that bothers them about Ron Paul is he was talking about auditing the Fed way back when. And now we're coming to find out, maybe we should. And now Newt Gingrich says, I think we should audit the Fed. I think we should ask Ben Bernanke, who he lent our money to in 2008, 9, and 10. Who did it go to? Who didn't it go to? Why didn't they get it? Were you choosing winners and losers at the Fed? Then with regard to national policy, when Ron Paul was saying we got to really take a look at this and see who we're giving our money to and why, who's our friend and who's our foe. Are we really about what we're saying we're about, or is it nation building? Is it the expansion of our capitalist structure around the world, which is happening now with the Trans-Pacific Partnership that Obama and the other EU leaders are talking about? And we have to take a look at where the money's going. But when you say, I have to take a look at everything being on the table with regard to foreign policy and foreign aid, the people who want to get rid of Ron Paul say what? He wants to cut off aid to Israel? He hates the Jews. No, he doesn't hate the Jews. He hates the idea of just giving out money without knowing where it's going or what they're doing with it or whether it's our best interest to continue doing it. You poll out people in this country the question of foreign aid. Should we discontinue all foreign aid, period? And I guarantee you the vast majority of people responding to that poll are going to say yes. Not just because it's the worst economy since the Great Depression, but because we realize that what we've been doing in this buying and bribing and cajoling isn't working. It's working for some, but not for us, and it's not working for us as a nation. So best to reassess where our money's going. Ron Paul's an anti-Semite. He hates the Jews. He wants to cut off the funding to Israel. Let me ask you an honest question. Do you think Israel needs our money? Or do you think it's the other way around? Who should be borrowing from who? Don't you think we should be going, Ben? That'll be Netanyahu. We're a little short this month. You guys think you could help us out? He'd be like, honestly, he'd say, sure. We got tons of money. Can we borrow a nuke? Because we know you guys have got a lot of them and you're willing to use them. We got some, but we don't use them. You need a nuke? Here's a nuke. Ron Paul saying $4 billion. Let's take a look at what we're doing. What is that getting us? Is it money well spent? Now, over the weekend, Rick Perry gets a standing O. The crowd goes wild. Newt Gingrich seconds. Mitt Romney backs up those two seconding of what was originally Ron Paul's position with regard to foreign aid, but Ron Paul's still the nuttiest guy in the room. But consistently over time, who's been the guy who's been consistent? That would be Ron Paul. Then you take a look at how it's gone in the GOP whack-a-mole. It was Michelle Bachmann until she wasn't the front runner. Then it was Rick Perry until it wasn't Rick Perry. And then it was Herman Cain until it wasn't Herman Cain. And now it's Newt Gingrich, who, with regard to Ryan's path to prosperity, called it right-wing social engineering. Do I have to remind the GOPers of what their opinion was of Newt Gingrich, who now says, we're not going to get up here and go against each other. We're going to collectively go against Obama, was the very guy who started off his campaign going against a fellow member of the GOP for what was the best plan that anyone in the GOP had laid out at the time with regard to what we needed to do to get our house in order on a number of different fronts. But now he's out in front as the big caretaking brother, looking out for the other GOPers while the media tries to trip them up. Here he is, Brit Hume, calling Uncle Newt being complimentary of the other candidates. And then I listened to Larry Sabato today on Fox News going, this is the great GOP strategy. You diss your fellow GOPers in private, but you applaud them in public. How about consistency? If you think the guy's got a lousy idea on Friday, it's the same lousy idea on Saturday when the cameras are rolling. And then on Sunday, it goes back to being a lousy idea. Newt Gingrich was standing up for Rick Perry's oops moment on stage, but the very next day threw Rick Perry under the bus with an offhanded joke about Rick Perry's performance. But when the camera's on, when everybody's looking at him, Newt Gingrich stands up there like Uncle Newt. He stands up there like that kindly brother. He knows, he's been there, he's done that. You're young, you make mistakes, he doesn't. And he'll give you that knowing look. He'll give you that glance. He'll give you that nod. He'll give you that pat on the back. And then when you're not looking, he'll stick the political knife right in your back because it's all about Newt. That's all it's ever been about. Whether it's his personal life, his political life, or his political grandstanding in front of the cameras, be it Newt, all things Newt, all the time. Consistency? I would have to be somewhat questioning of his. Romney, go to 2005, and you want to look at a guy who could sleep inside a trombone? This guy's twisted more times around on policy than anybody else that's up there on that stage? And they're all up there going, well, the nuttiest guy in the room is Ron Paul. Let him continue to be nuts. Let him continue to talk about what he's been talking about, because you watch what happens over time. As these debates go on, these candidates are going to come around to recognizing, applauding, and supporting many of Congressman Paul's positions and ideas, because consistently over time he's been proven right, because what everybody else has been proven to not be in the best interest of our country.
The Jerry Doyle Show.
Ooh, mainstream media is teaming up on us GOPers. We don't know what to do. 800-876-4123. Join me.
The Jerry Doyle Show.